The previous video, we started material variances and we did one or two questions of material variances. Now we are going to start with labor variances, right? If you see the labor cost, let's suppose labor is paid on the basis of hours. So there are two elements of labor cost, right? There will be one element is labor hours and the second element is wage rate, right? So let's suppose labor is consuming 4 hours for the manufacturing of 1 unit of the product, and the wage rate is around $5 per labor hour. So that means one, if is manufacturing 1 unit of the product, he will be paid, the company will pay him around $20 for 1 unit of the product, right? So so if actual cost is higher, let's suppose if the company manufactured 5,000 units, and we were expecting that, and the company was expecting that the actual cost will be around 10 1 1 2 3 1 lakh, but let's suppose the actual cost was not 1 lakh, actual cost was just 95,000. So there is a 5,000 difference, and we will say that actual labor cost was 5,000 lower as compared with the expectations, and obviously it's a favorable variance, right? So this means what? This is total labor variance. Now what actually happened is, there are two chances, right? The first chance is that labor hours can be, what can be the reasons? The first reason is labor hours can be lower as compared with the expectations, or the second reason can be the wage rate which company paid was less than $5 per hour, right? There is no third reason. So if I want to write labor formula, it's exactly the same how we used material variances, right? For example, in case of material price, labor, we don't pay labor price, we pay labor rate, right? So instead of writing material price variance, we will write labor rate variance. Right. So this is the difference between what is the standard wage rate minus actual wage rate multiplied by actual hours worked. Let's suppose we were expecting that the company will pay $10 per hour, or what is given here, $5 per hour. So expectations were that the company will pay $5 per hour to labor, but let's suppose company actually paid 5.2 hours per hour to the labor. That means labor overpaid to company overpaid to labor by $0.2 per hour, multiply by actual hours work. Let's suppose labor actually work for 6,000 hours. So 6,000 multiplied by 0.2, the overall variance will be around 1,200 Edwards, right? Similarly, the second part is the manufacturing time of labor, right? So that part is actually called, not obviously not the usage, we call that part as labor efficiency variance. Efficiency variance is what? This is, again, instead of using the word quantity, we will use word hours, right? So we'll write standard hours allowed for actual production minus actual hours worked multiply by standard wage rate, right? So in the next, in a couple of minutes we will start its calculation, but these two variances are exactly the same thing as we did materials, right? So let's start with another question. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, so this is the question which we did for material, right? Let's start the same question with respect to labor, right? So if you want to calculate labor rate variance, you have to consider what is the standard wage rate of labor minus actual wage rate of labor multiplied by actual hours worked, right? So standard wage rate of labor is, let's consider labor now. So standard labor wage rate is around $10 per hour, right? So $10 per hour standard wage rate, and the actual wage rate, for the actual wage rate you have to divide labor cost with hours. So labor cost is 439,890 and labor hours are 43,000. So if you divide these two figures, 439,890 with actual labor hours which are 43,000, you will get the actual wage rate. So 439,890 divided by 43,000, you will get 10.23. So we overpaid labor by $0.23 per hour. And how many hours labor actually worked? 43,000 hours. So minus 10 multiplied by 43,000, 9890 adverse. Similarly, labor efficiency variance is what? Standard hours allowed for actual production minus actual hours taken into standard rate. So how many units labor actually manufactured? Labor actually manufactured 9,000 units is given here. This is the same question which we just did for material. So 9,000 units multiplied by 1 unit required 5 hours. Right. So this means if labor manufactured 9,000 units, ideally the production time should have been 45,000. Instead, labor actually used just 43,000 hours. So this means that the variance is favorable. Multiply by standard wage rate. Standard wage rate is 10 per hour. So this is the standard wage rate. So 10 multiplied by 2,000 is 20,000 favorable. So total labor variance will be 9,890 adverse and 20,000 favorable. So 10,110 adverse. No, favorable. And if you want to calculate separately, the calculation are approximately the same. For the calculation of labor, we will see that what is the standard labor cost per unit. So the standard labor cost per unit is 50 multiplied by 9,000 units. So that means if labor has manufactured 9,000 units and 1 unit require $50, so 9,000 units will require $450,000 cost. Right. But what is the actual cost of labor? Actual cost of labor is 439,890. 439,890, right? So 450,000 minus 439,890 is 10,110. Right. This is actual labor cost, and this is standard labor cost of actual production. So if you do the dictionary, if you do the translation of this means that what should be the standard labor cost of the actual production, right? So this is the standard labor cost, this is the actual production. So this ideally labor should have consumed $450,000 cost, but the consumption was quite lower. So this is a favorable variance, right? So it's approximately same. The logic, the workings are same as of material. The difference is that we, instead of using price, we are using rate. Instead of using quantity, we are using hours, right? The rest of the calculations are same. All right. So that's it for material and labor. So now we are quite prepared for calculating the advanced variances for MA part MA2. All right. Thank you. Take care. Allah Hafiz.